Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Phoenix and this is the Consumer's Guide to Filmmaking. Eddington, 2025, Ari Aster. This film follows the sheriff of Eddington, New Mexico named Joseph Cross. After a couple choice run-ins with incumbent Mayor Ted Garcia during the COVID-19 pandemic, Cross decides that enough is enough. Cross goes to social media and proclaims that he is running for mayor. However, unbeknownst to Cross, his decision to run for office, as well as the chaos of the year 2020, will have untold ramifications that will affect the town of Eddington forever. Ari Aster's new movie certainly didn't disappoint, at least in my eyes. This was a very entertaining black comedy about the year of our Lord 2020. There is no disputing Ari Aster's immense talent as a director. Eddington boasts the same attention to detail and the technical elements as his other movies. His visual style is so distinct. From the police car lights lighting a conversation between cops in the desert to the beautiful long takes, such as the one in the cop shop after Mike seemingly escapes, to scenes with incredibly unique angle choices like the first scene in bed between Joe Cross and his wife. Aster manages to give every scene its own distinct visual feel. Along with that, the editing in this film is pitch perfect. One of my favorite bits of editing in the film was when the BLM girl that Brian was sweet on starts yapping about white privilege, and as she starts talking, it seamlessly cuts to Brian regurgitating her talking points. The comedic timing of that entire sequence is just absolutely beautiful. Along with the writing in that scene, me and my friend who I saw this with were in fucking hysterics. Another edit I admired was this beautiful transition from a shot in the plane with those Antifa terrorists straight into a shot of Cross's phone, I believe. It was so seamless. But visuals to a movie aren't everything. One of the things I really enjoyed about this film was how Aster played with sound. Throughout the film, Aster and his crew really had a great sense of how environments sounded and how certain audio cues would affect the impact of a scene. One of my favorites was when that giant bomb in the desert goes off, maiming Michael and killing Guy, and its aftermath. Stunned by it, Cross can only hear ringing in his ears and his surroundings sound muffled. Cut to an aerial shot of the flames forming the words "No Peace," and the sound of the drone and the fire become absolutely overwhelming. It's a beautiful contrast. Musically, the film is super sparse in its use of an original score. Most scenes are left to breathe in the sounds of its environment. But when there is music in the film, the score sounds super ominous. Arrangement-wise, it really fits the desert setting with droning strings and acoustic guitars. The compositions are bellowing and quiet and never get big and over the top. On a tonal level, it enhances the scenes that use the score incredibly, and when it is used, it feels earned. Now, I'm sure the script for this film is bound to push the buttons of reactionary Twitter heads around the globe. Hell, I can say this film is probably just going to be divisive in general. I can certainly see why this film would push a ton of buttons. 2020 was a wild fucking year. We all lived it, you know. And in my eyes, this film is quite the snapshot of it. On top of the pandemic, the George Floyd riots were rocking the country and race relations were becoming heated and volatile. This film handles these subjects with a bleakly comedic tone, which indeed might turn some people off, but I feel this film handles these ideas with enough sincerity and seriousness that it works. The main character and the town he inhabits are kind of what carried this script though. Joe Cross is a bit of a dirtbag and a buffoon. Whatever you may say about how the pandemic was handled, or the state of race relations in the United States and the Western world at large, Joe Cross wasn't exactly handling these situations well. He certainly wasn't helping his campaign for mayor by peddling a lie that the incumbent mayor forced his wife to get an abortion during their teenage years. All this pressure, all these setbacks because of his idiocy and maliciousness, make Joe Cross go fucking full society clown and just murder everyone. This then leads us to the last act of the film, which is probably as Ari Aster as it gets. See, It turns out that those radical left-wing Antifa cats were actually pulling some greasy shit around Eddington, and Cross's life pretty much ends at the hands of one of these goons. Cross isn't dead, but he's now a vegetable in the mayor's office, and his handlers are essentially continuing Ted Garcia's platform in Cross's name. In some ways, the appearance of these fanatical terrorists seems a little far-fetched, but with all the conspiracy shit that is talked about throughout the film, it almost seems like the kooks in this movie were onto something. Shadowy cabals always get in their way kind of resulted in Joe Cross's downfall, as much as Joe Cross's own stupidity did. Leading this star-studded cast is Joaquin Phoenix as Joe Cross. Showing tons of personality and exuberance throughout, Phoenix portrays such unmitigated bravado and bumbling idiocy really well. Phoenix also gives these subtle, emotional performances near the third act as well, where we started to channel his inner Joker. It was very, very entertaining. To counter him, we had Pedro Pascal as Mayor Ted Garcia, and Pedro was just being Pedro. But Pedro just being Pedro kind of worked for this bland politician being so, oddly nice and amiable. Amongst the supporting cast is Emma Stone as Cross's wife Lonnie, and she was excellent. Deirdre O'Connell played Cross's mother-in-law Dawn, and she was honestly a highlight. She was tweaking so hard during this movie. Austin Butler played a cult leader, and he was entertaining for what screen time he got. Smaller roles such as Joe Grimes of Yellowstone fame, playing Cross's dipshit number 2 guy, was entertaining as well. And really, in my eyes, this whole cast was breathing such immense life into the town of Eddington. So, what is the verdict on Ari Aster's latest? Well, I don't think it's totally on par with his previous films, but it kinda comes close. Aster's direction is on point as usual, and this funny, sharp script is being brought to life by some damn game performances from the likes of Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal. It's gonna divide so many people, but for those who enjoy films that challenge and divide, you're gonna get a ton out of this one. Recommended. And I'm feeling an 8.5 out of 10 on this one. This was a damn good movie in my eyes. Catch you later, guys.